A note. Following advice from work-life imbalance may lead to action being taken by HR, your family, the authorities, or higher powers. Welcome to Work-Life Imbalance, an advice show focusing on workplace and lifestyle issues. Any resemblance to actual advice, living or dead, or actual wisdom is purely coincidental. I'm your monstrous manager, Frank Eastman.
And I'm your lovable office companion, Derek Lewis.
Today, we'll be talking about team outings in the deep dive before we address some audience questions and issues from the internet. But first, time for the daily
Before
stand-up.
we get started, Frank, I want to, I don't know what the fuck I want to do.
You want to break free? You want to
Yes.
break free?
Sorry, I completely forgot what I was about to fucking say. Jesus. And it's not important either. This is going to be a fun show.
This is a good episode.
Yeah. No, but I wanted to leave a comment for our listeners that they are in for a real auditory treat this episode because my quiet mouse died last week and is no longer working. So now I have this mouse that produces like a 14 decibel click. So if you guys hear that, I am sorry. We'll try to edit it out in post, but if not, enjoy it. Okay, now let's do the damn thing.
All right, so for the daily stand-up, I wanted to talk about, we're talking about how it's beautiful and spring outside. The plants are growing, the plants are showing. And
some people say that's a positive thing, but I don't know about that, but go ahead.
I wanted to talk about grilling out.
Okay.
So
this is food based. I'm all for it.
All for it. How do you like to grill out?
I wouldn't necessarily say that I enjoy grilling out. Like, I enjoy the fruits of the labor. I do enjoy grilled meats. It is one of my all time favorite preparations of said meat products.
Meat plus fire.
Yeah, I'm for that, but at the same time, you have to be outside for a long time, and they really frown upon it if you like grill in your living room. That's generally not the right way to do it.
That's true.
But yeah, I enjoy the output of grilling, but the act of grilling itself is not something that I cherish personally.
I showed up, so we had a short birthday, well, it wasn't even short, it was, but a relatively
pretty
small
lengthy
gathering for the kids as far as a birthday party went. And I
Right.
arrived home, like, I had taken the kids out so that we would come back and everything would be set up, and it was kind of a surprise party. And
Okay.
when I got back, like, the decorations were up, the food had been purchased, much of it had been laid out, but I was directed to outside to do the grilling of the hamburgers and hot dogs.
And you weren't previously told that this was going to be your responsibility?
I had a feeling that it was going to be. Like, I don't know that we had necessarily directly discussed it, but it's usually the way it is. But I was directed outside with I was going to do something to set up the grill, but that's for you. And ordinarily we're not like one of those, gender roles homes where, the outside grilling is the man responsibility.
The man's job. Yeah.
So I had to hum "Now You're a Man" to myself as I went outside.
Be a man, something to coursing river.
And I was like, I'm not a manly man. I don't know anything about cars or other such manly pursuits. And then I opened up the grill and was like, looks like the burner's a little rusty and the spark box is...
Did it just like you just had this like epiphany of manliness? It's like, this is these are things I recognize. Holy shit, maybe I am manly.
I think I've spent a decent amount of time with the grill, so but yeah, I ended up having to set up the grill because we've got an outdoor natural gas fired grill that came with the house. But like everything else that came with the house has been neglected since approximately 1982.
In slight disrepair.
Yeah, so like it's busted. But does
it produce fire?
It does a little bit.
Okay.
And I was able to get that one working enough that I could start grilling corn on it. So I just take the corn, husk and all, stick it on the grill. But it takes a good amount of time to essentially steam it in its husk on the grill.
Right.
But
it takes like
tastes good.
It takes what, like 30 minutes, something like that?
Yeah, it's about a 30-minute process. So while I was getting that ready, I went ahead and set up the other grill. See, the first grill, we're getting back to my non-manly man.
Okay.
The first grill has been kind of fucked up and busted since we bought the house, which was at this point, I think 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And I have been consistently saying, I'm going to go out and fix that grill. Oh, look, it's been 7 months. No longer grilling season. I guess I'll have to save that one for next year.
Wait till next year, yeah.
So we have a little tiny charcoal grill that is literally small enough that I take it outside and I sit it on top of...
on the table.
The other grill. Like, I sit it on top of the closed lid of the other grill most of the time. It is... I am low renting it up and down the block.
See, I support this. Like, this is a great thing. Specifically because I'm thinking of like the human parallel. So you are basically taking this grill whose whole job is to, grill things and putting it on top of something else whose job was to grill things but no longer does that thing. I'm thinking of like the human parallel of basically you getting a new job and them just sitting you on top of the dead person who did the job before you and you having to do the job while sitting on their corpse. That is basically what I'm envisioning here.
That's pretty much it. It is that early 90s, like the late 80s giant cabinet box television has busted and we're not going to get another one. We're just going to get a smaller TV and set it on top of the cabinet of the other TV.
Right.
It's like that, but with outdoor barbecue equipment.
I can totally get behind that.
But instead of doing it where I had, the smaller grill set up on top of the other grill, I went ahead and futzed around with the big grill until I could get the burner working a little bit without, catching fire to the house. And I got the corn cooking on there. And then I went and set up the charcoal grill elsewhere to grill the meat products.
Yeah.
And it turned out pretty well.
Yeah, generally I do a good job. There's something to be said for like practice makes perfect, and the fact that I only cook steaks like every, I don't know, like 2-3 months, something like that. So you kind of lose a little bit of the natural instinct to when something's done, because it is something that needs to be kind of honed and trained over a long period of time, and I've not invested the time to do that adequately. So I mean, sometimes I'll have the steak on the grill and it's like, oh yeah, that clear juices are coming out. That's well done. That's nice and ruined, just like they want.
The hockey pucks are done.
Yeah, and then get it inside, and all of a sudden, just a river of blood flows out. I'm like, I was way off on that one.
Sometimes that will happen to me, especially if I'm doing them indoor. Like, I have gotten fairly good at doing steaks outdoors to a particular doneness level.
Yeah.
But if I'm doing like the pan-seared steak inside, invariably I'm like, yes, this is well cooked. and then everybody is like, can you please take this piece of raw meat and do something with it?
It's still mooing at me. Yeah, I agree. Like pan searing a steak like that, especially when, because like if you have like a really nice like cast iron skillets or something like that, it might help a little bit. But like in order to do a really good steak inside, you kind of have to like use a lot of butter and grease and other things like that generally make it not a super healthy meal. So normally it's like a little bit of olive oil on a non-stick skillet, and you're kind of guessing a little bit because you want some sear on it, so you have to turn it up a little bit. But whenever you do that, you're going to get pretty decent, not searing, but like browning on the steak, and it's going to look done far sooner than it actually is done. So yeah, that there've been a few times where I'll be cooking a sirloin for a diet meal and put it on the put it aside to rest, then put it on the plate, and then one cut and it just bleeds all over our whatever rabbit food we're having with the steak. But
oh no, my salad is drenched in blood. Whatever will I do?
I hear there are places that sell French fries. we can go do that. But yeah, indoor steaks are not exactly my favorite. But I would love to be better at it. I mean, that would be a nice skill to have.
Same here. I've been trying it a little bit. What I have not been able, like I'm starting to dial it in a little bit on the cooking of the steak. What I have not been able to do so far is make a pan sauce.
Right.
Which a well done pan sauce with a steak cooked indoors is I think essentially what makes a steak cooked indoors good.
Right.
And invariably I make an okay indoor steak and a pan full of something I'm going to have to clean out later.
Yeah. Doesn't actually turn into a sauce. It's more of an actual mess.
Yeah, it's just a literal hot mess at that point, and I'm going to have to scrape that bastard out.
Yeah. All right, so I want to ask you the question that is going to, it's either going to make you enemies or friends, depending on who is listening. Do you prefer charcoal or gas for outdoor grilling?
I prefer overall gas, but it's gas with a lot of accoutrement. So
what
like,
the fuck does that mean?
if I had my druthers, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and do it this season, it's only been 3 years. I might just lie down until the feeling about wanting to go do this goes away. But I think I'm gonna go ahead and get all the pieces to finally completely renovate the grill, because it's a well-built grill for having been completely neglected. Like, I need to replace the burner and a couple of valves and a knob, and the ignition box is completely shot.
Is it actually?
But other than that,
is it actually like built into the deck, or is it removable?
Yes.
Oh wow!
It's built into the deck and attached to the natural gas line of the house. So getting it removed would be as big of a pain in the ass as actually fixing it.
Right.
But then, like, if I've got it fixed, then I'd want to lay down like a layer of ceramic briquettes to sort of add some radiant heat to it. Get a smoker box so that I can put some damp wood in there, get that smoke that you get from the charcoal.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Like, if it's just literally like, here's some gas flame directly underneath a grate, and I cook the meat upon that, like, you don't get a lot going on. There's a lot less flavor.
Yeah, that's about how I feel about it. Most of the gas grills that like I've cooked on have been just that. Like no like boxes off to the side where you can put some like damp cedar to get that good wood flavor to it. They've all just been literally, here is a gas flame. Hopefully it's burning off enough of the gas so your meat doesn't taste like whatever, like
propane
natural,
and propane
like
accessories.
Propane. Yeah. And sure, it tastes like just the meat, but in my opinion, and completely untrained, completely, I mean, I'm just an asshole with an opinion. But I love the way that charcoal tastes, because like I know that it's kind of doctoring the flavor of whatever you're cooking, but that's a positive thing in my case. Like I don't use a whole lot of lighter fluid. So you're not getting a whole lot of like the chemicalness of, of the whole charcoal process. You're just getting that like charcoal briquette taste on it, and I enjoy that taste a lot. So I mean pretty much anything cooked over charcoal I think is superior to something not cooked over charcoal, like like chicken, any kind of beef, like burgers, hot dogs, brats, anything like that. If it can be cooked over charcoal, like it'll be better, like, or to me personally, it'll taste better than if it was done over like a natural gas flame or cooked indoors or something like that. So that's kind of where my opinion is, but I know that a lot of people don't necessarily like that particular flavor imparted by the charcoal, but
it's got that nice cancer flavor.
I mean, they say find something you love and let it kill you. So
char-grilled meats. That's what's going to get you in the end.
I could think of a lot worse ways to go than that, Frank.
Want to take it to the deep dive?
Let us do that. All right, so today in the deep dive, wanted to discuss mandatory team building outings. These are the outings that you get those chain emails about from multiple parts of the organization, or maybe it's just within your own small team. But basically, the whole idea is that you people are antisocial, and your bosses and other people in the company wish that to not be the case. They want to build more of a team camaraderie and an atmosphere, so they pay for you to go somewhere. It can be bowling, it can be batting cages, it can be in the most recent case, we have a kind of a driving range that got built here in Birmingham, and so a lot of team outings have been going there. But basically, the whole point of it is to remove the work and the money aspect, and give you fine folks some opportunity to go do a thing together. I guess it could also be like those escape rooms, which I will say I've had 2 rounds of doing escape rooms with coworkers, and the last thing I wanted after successfully or unsuccessfully doing the escape room, the last thing I wanted was to be anywhere near them. Like, I'd been trapped in a room with them for a fucking hour. And you think I want to go back to work with them? No, I want them to drive off a bridge before they get home. Like, maybe that feeling will pass. Maybe it's temporary, and like after that, like what's left will be a warm feeling of camaraderie. But in the moment, I'm like, you motherfucker, you didn't see that thing hanging behind the chalkboard. Like, you are the son of a bitch. But no, that I digress. We're getting hitting a nerve. No, but yeah. So Frank, what kind of team building exercises have you been a part of in the recent past?
I will say that these are a goddamn political minefield.
They absolutely are.
Like, I actually kind of detest them for that reason, especially stuff like company picnic.
Oh,
like the company picnic is an old hoary standard, and it's just so tough with those because you need to show up, because often if it's a smaller organization, like everybody from the CEO on down is going to be there.
Yeah, your absence will be noted.
Yeah, and your absence will be noted, so you want to go there long enough to be seen, but not long enough to be, like, miserable for the rest of your day.
It's a very fine tightrope to walk.
Like, I don't have hair anymore. My hair and I broke up, a good 20 years ago.
I'm guessing it wasn't amicable.
The hair said that they were leaving, and I said, don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out, and shaved my head.
Nice.
But that does mean that I'm sort of, like, prone to sunburn, so all this, like, hey, it's beautiful outside, and by beautiful we mean it's 85 degrees with full sunshine, let's all hang out outside.
Right.
That kind of shit is completely fucking nightmare for me. I will say, like, most recently, and it's an interesting one, my organization has a box at one of the local sporting arenas,
Okay.
specifically the new baseball stadium. And every once in a while, one of the groups within the organization will get the opportunity to go take in a baseball game. Like, the box is always there. It's always going to be in use. It's
Right.
just
Who gets to
who
use
from
it?
the organization is going to be there.
Okay. That's pretty neat. I mean, is it a closed box like one of the fancy ones that are not exposed to the elements?
It is indeed one of those. Like, the first time I went, it was, again, this is going to be a political nightmare. I don't want, like, to go to the baseball game to see the baseball, because it would be very difficult for me to care less about any sports
Right.
other than roller derby, for which I announce. So I guess if I was announcing baseball, I would become a much bigger baseball buff. But unless I'm working the sport for whatever reason, I'm just not necessarily
very
terribly interested in it.
Right.
But we got there, and it was one of the full enclosed boxes.
Okay. That's
then
pretty
it has-
swanky.
An open front, like you can raise, essentially it looks like a garage door that's made of glass. And there's additional seats in front of the box that
Okay.
are, your traditional seats. But you can also stay inside a small air-conditioned room
Oh.
filled with televisions and catered food.
I mean, you had me at air conditioning enclosed from the outside and catered food. I mean, that sounds like
this
a
is
pretty
a
sweet deal.
dream.
I mean,
Like, everybody who likes baseball can watch baseball, and I can hang out in a comfy chair eating hot dogs.
okay, so let me ask this. So this room that is enclosed, air conditioner, catered food, all that mess with TVs, can you actually see the baseball from there?
Not really.
So that is the room for people that just, they were brought along and could not give two shits about baseball, but you don't want them to gripe the whole time. So you built a space specifically for them. I mean, practically for me, like that is a perfect,
Exactly.
that's a perfect space for someone like me who likes food, doesn't necessarily care about baseball, and does not like to feel sticky and swampy. So yeah, that sounds like a pretty fucking good deal.
Yeah, so the first one, as I said, it was politically fraught because I was like, I'm going to show up to this. I am prepared with a hat so that I don't come away, charred to the bone.
I mean, you have two options there. You're either going to be, I mean, I guess three. You're gonna have a hat. You're going to have a red head by the end of it, or you're gonna have a greasy head because of sunscreen. Like, you don't really have an option to not deal with that. So that's tough.
But then when I got there, and it was like I could socialize with people from work. I didn't necessarily have to, experience direct sunlight.
Always a positive thing.
And so now, if it ever comes up again where they're like, oh, we should do a team outing to take in a baseball game at the box, I'm like, count me in.
I mean, all you can eat hot dogs is generally the only statement that's required to get me to show up anywhere. But no, the rest, that's just icing on the cake. Yeah, and I think that's a particularly good setup for most, for pretty much hitting everybody that will be going like somewhere that they can be comfortable. Like that doesn't sound too bad. But there are some other outings that are far and away much worse than that.
How about laser tag?
Christ, man, that's where I was going. Oh, laser tag.
I somehow knew.
Oh, there is just...
Yeah, this is a fucking nightmare for me. I don't know how it is for you, but I've had to do the laser tag before.
Uh-huh.
And we have discussed, I am not necessarily of human proportions.
Right.
Like, there is no dimension on me that someone doesn't measure and go, that's outside of the standard deviation. And so getting into like the little laser tag vest, getting into the little laser tag vest is like big man in a little coat.
Absolutely. And I mean, I'm not, I'm a large guy, but I'm not like, I don't have the inhuman proportions for most of my body parts that you do, except for one.
Heyo.
You can cut that if you want. Look, we had to make a dick joke in there somewhere. We're talking about proportions. It writes itself.
Your left pinky toe. We know it's really weird and uncomfortably long, and honestly, slightly creepy.
Makes shoe buying very difficult, and flip flop wearing quite a disturbing sight. But no, I mean, I'm not a super huge guy, but like those vests are still not made for me. You get put in this tiny little vest. You're given like a gun. I swear to Christ, they have not built these laser things in like 20 years. Like all the laser tag places that I've been to, and at first I thought maybe it's just the shitty ones in the South, but like I've been to a couple different ones around I haven't been to like California laser tag, but like other laser tags up and down the East Coast, they all seem to have those same shitty guns. And I mean, I just don't understand how they've lasted that long. They had to have been built out of like aircraft level materials like that. That's pretty impressive that you can have 10-year-olds running around bashing them into the wall and they still work. But they're not new technology by any stretch of the imagination. And then they just shove you in a dark room. First of all, they split you into teams. Typically if you have enough people, you'll have half the office against the other half of the office. And like, there is no way that everyone's going to come out of that feeling happy, because either you're pissed because you got like hammered, like you didn't get to shoot anybody because you were constantly, your own vest was blinking the whole time because you're getting shot, or like you were griping about somebody on your team not covering their corner enough, or you were mad that somebody was like walking behind you and just shooting you. Like there's no good scenario where this works well. Like if you are your own team against like, maybe you have like some sort of like kind of like intramural sport, but between offices, like if my office was like against, since we work at different places now, my office was against your office in laser tag, like that would be like, that seems like it would be a good, a better team building experience. But
for each of the teams, because then you're the entirety of your office against another office,
right? And so that will help build camaraderie. But if you are half the office against the other half of the office, you are literally just building it up to where one side is pissed at the other. And that's exactly what happened the last time we were involved in that. I mean, not only did the other parts of the prophecy come true, that, I was out of breath, I was sweaty, I was miserable. I mean, it was somewhat fun doing the thing, but it's not super engaging. And it lasted like 30 minutes. And like after 15, I was like, when is this going to fucking end?
It's only like, part of me is like, it's only 30 minutes. And then like the actual other part of me is like, I've been in here for 5 minutes and it feels like I've been in here for my entire life and I want to die.
Like, it's just because they have like the AC blowing, but it's not necessarily enough. Like, you're still in an enclosed space with 30 other people and you're just running, like
doing moderate exercise.
Right. I mean, you are doing moderate exercise. And that, and so I have entered into an uncomfortable physical experience, and now I've got to deal with this douche across the office that every time around the corner he decides to shoot me. That's just going to make me 10 times hate him 10 times more. Sometimes that's sometimes I'm fine with that. Other times, like maybe I like them before, and then after the outing, I don't like them so much. And every time we're having like an argument about something technical, I'll be thinking, that motherfucker wouldn't stop shooting me. I don't like his ideas.
See, now I'm thinking, because I'm keying off of your whole concept of where office versus office with different offices would probably be a better way to do this.
Okay.
And I'm thinking if we had enforced, required inter-office battles of some sort, that would be great for team building.
Absolutely.
Not optional. Like, you are forced to attend in the same way that you're forced to attend the company picnic.
Right.
But it is in the nature of we now have to go and raid other corps.
I mean, there is no downside to this, in my opinion. But I don't necessarily think that it's about team building. I think at that point, it's just like corporate espionage or corporate assault disguised as a team building
activity. If the stakes were high enough, I would be totally about this too. Like if we could get some amount of their profit for the year by whoever won, and we were playing paintball. Like I just want to see Janet from accounting screaming in anger as she charges across the field with her paintball gun.
Oh man, yeah, set it up to where there's like a new client in town, and basically your two offices do the same thing, and they can't decide which contract to go with, so you basically have to duke it out in some sort of battle scenario. My God, I would watch that. Like if that was a show. I would watch the shit out of that.
I think I'd watch this show too, because that sounds badass. Like two advertising agencies going head to head. Not in a competition of who's the better agency, but in something that they're just not prepared for. Some sort of guerrilla warfare tactics demonstration.
Man, I could totally get behind that. See, we talked about it. I think I mentioned it a couple episodes ago. There are some things that, when I think of them, I am sad they don't already exist, and I'm going to put this one solidly in that list because I would. Oh man, we need to send a letter to somebody. I don't even care if we get any profits from it. I just want to see this exist. Like, just have maybe software shops competing for clients. Agencies competing for clients, maybe even contractors competing for contracts or for bids and things like that. And you could get really diverse with the type of stuff they were doing. Like you can do some sort of physical combat. I think whatever they're chosen to do, I think it has to be like something that they're not good at. Like the software guys. Anything physical would
outside.
Work. Yeah, anything physical or outside would be perfectly fine. Then you have like physical sports and things like that, or battle scenarios would be bad for like the construction workers and stuff like that, because they're going to be a little bit beefier than everybody else. So it'd be a little more prominent to them. What would they do? What could we have them do?
Let's see, some sort of skill-based fine motor control.
I mean,
I'm
we
thinking
can go back
RC
to the
car races.
RC, what did you say? RC car races?
Yep.
I could get behind that. Or I was thinking more like competitive cake decorating. I think
there we go. That's even better.
Yeah, that's a finesse thing that I'm not saying that you can't be both a construction worker and have a love for pastry craft, but I'm just saying that it's not an obvious choice. So you may be the sleeper. Like there may be somebody on your team that is like could go in and just crush a bake-off. But you got to keep it quiet.
Joel had been dreaming of this day for his entire life.
He didn't know he was training for this, but by God, it was his destiny.
This is beautiful. I think we definitely need to try and get this show made.
Look, we'll workshop it. We'll come up with a premise. We'll even toss out some ideas for some good hosts. But, we need to send this off to somebody and stat.
All right. I'll jot off an email when we take our trip to accounting.
Okay. Let's do it.
I'm Don Wrinkle, and everybody's got a podcast. And if you're gonna listen to one, in poor taste is the way to go, because it's very greasy.
This is Bill Lawyerson to tell you that In Poor Taste is the podcast you should listen to if you want to get sued.
I'm Big Jim, here to say if you listen to In Poor Taste, guess we'll give you a Christmas handy.
It's in poor taste. It's definitely not a comedy podcast.
And it's definitely not educational.
It is definitely Australian.
Stop asking!
Hello, I'm a Giorgio Casadoro, and this is my brother.
Fativa.
Come on down, In Poor Taste. We take you back and polish your jewels.
That's us.
South Hills, Pittsburgh.
Born and raised.
Listen to In Poor Taste on the Podsberg Network. www.podsberg.com/InPoorTaste for all of your edutainmentional podcast needs.
If you guys said they were fun.
All right, Derek, want to get to an audience question?
Yes, sir, I would.
At my job, I sit with one other person in the office. I often have to do some repetitive tasks in spreadsheets and find that putting in headphones to listen to music is a way for me to be able to focus to get this done. My office mate can see I have headphones in and will often try to talk to me anyway. I can't pretend I don't notice because our desks are positioned in such a way where we are very visible to each other. Sometimes I will take my headphones out. As I feel the conversation winding down, I will slowly begin putting them back on. This has not been successful in stopping further conversation. What can I do to make it obvious that headphones equal no talking? Sent in by Headphone Hindrance in Homewood.
Yeah, this is a topic that we have kind of tangentially glanced off in the past. I think that may have been like step 4 or 5, maybe, in my my ladder of disengagement. But
Putting the headphones back on?
Yeah, putting the headphones back on. Yeah, this one's kind of annoying because I think that it is kind of commonly recognized that if somebody has their headphones on, I mean, you can, like, if you're walking up to them, like, you need to ask them a question, you can, like, knock on the cube or something like that to get their attention. That's fine. It's like, it's a temporary thing. You just get their attention, ask the question, receive your answer, and then you you fuck off. But, like, just treating somebody that has their headphones on as if they are openly and willingly wanting to engage in conversation, that's a little bit of a bad read, I feel.
Yeah, you are filled with the milk of human kindness, whereas for my part...
Okay, I know that's a phrase that people use, but can we just stop for a second and realize how odd of a fucking
Oh no, it is a
colloquialism that
terrible
is?
phrase. That's why I use it. It is it's an old Shakespeare bit.
I don't like other men telling me how full of whatever milk I am. It's not necessarily how I want to spend my time. But go on.
I'm thinking let's upgrade our setup a little bit.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and get some blinders.
Like for a horse?
Like for a horse, you can put them on some glasses.
Okay.
So you've got your glasses on, and it's got giant blinders. You got your headphones on.
We're assuming this guy is not an air traffic controller. Like, putting the blinders on for the air traffic controller, probably not the best deal. But I mean, I'm assuming this is some sort of, like, technical office, generally speaking.
Yeah, and if we're doing data entry into a spreadsheet, I don't think peripheral vision is necessarily a big boon at this point.
We can definitely say that is the case. Like, peripheral vision is not required for the general purpose of the job.
And then I think you get a top hat and some of those fabric markers.
Okay.
Or the puffy paint pens, and you just write "fuck off" over and over again on the hat. And then it's your fuck off hat.
I was wondering where the fuck you were going with that. But no.
And so you've got your blinders on, your headphones on, and your fuck off hat on, and hopefully people get the point.
See, I think that we're being, that might be a little, maybe not too bold, but maybe just a little bit too on the nose. You would think that just wearing the fuck off hat would be enough. Because that's, I mean, it's literally written in plain English, fuck off, as many times as can fit into the appropriate space on the top hat. At that point, if you've got your fuck hat, oh God, not your fuck hat.
No, that's a completely different hat.
Don't wear your fuck hat to the office, generally speaking. Unless that's your job.
It's like a low ivy cap.
No, it's a fedora, obviously.
Oh no.
Anyway, you've already got your fuck off hat on. You got your blinders on, you got your headphones on. If somebody just kind of leisurely starts asking or starts a conversation with you, that person, I think, just unequivocally is being an asshole. Whether or not you actually have like work to do, like if you're just browsing the internet and you have all your fuck off accoutrement on, I think that's still okay for people to respect that. Like, because sometimes you need a couple minutes to like disengage with people. I'm definitely one of those people. Like I'm overall like I'm a very warm person. I interact with people all the time, but I am still somewhat of an introvert, and I need time to recharge. So if I've got all of my various fuck off trappings festooned all over my body, that just means that I need a little time to recharge. I don't necessarily always get that, like when shit starts catching on fire. You can't really gotta take off all your leave me alone accoutrement. But sometimes if
there's an actual fire, then you probably shouldn't have your high regalia of bugger off on down the road.
That actually does raise another important question: is if you have all of your leave me alone trappings on, would you be able to hear the fire alarm, see the blinking lights or anything, or are you literally just like you can see your computer screen? So unless you got like a pop-up notification that the building was on fire, you wouldn't know.
Hey man, there's always some risks. We know what we're getting into when we took this job.
Okay. All right. So if I don't think that even, I mean, you could have like a fucking porta-john that you go into that has fuck off written all over it.
You knew my second thought. Go on.
So I don't think there's any amount of of decoration that you could put on your body to make it to where this guy doesn't talk to you. Now, what we need to talk about is how to correct the behavior. So, Frank, what do you think we can do to help this guy somehow discourage this person from talking to them possibly ever? I'm not sure that that's necessarily what he's looking for, but I'm sure I'm sure he'd rather that than constantly. So what can we do to help him?
Well, I think it's actually just about time that when this is released, he'll be able to hear it. But on Friday the 13th, he should go to the crossroads outside of town. He needs to sacrifice a chicken and
Does
make
it
a
have to be
deal.
a free-range chicken, or can it be just like any kind of chicken? Is that important?
It depends. I mean, you're trying to impress, so I would dress to impress in this instance.
Buy organic, yeah.
Yeah, buy organic. But sacrifice a chicken, summon up the devil, and then make a deal so that this person loses their voice.
Oh.
Not in like I'm hoarse, but in like the Little Mermaid just
Right.
can't speak anyway.
Okay. I mean, I see that being somewhat effective for the short term, but then they could still probably chat like okay, no. Let's go one step further. Lose the ability to use and understand speech. How about that?
I mean, that's going to make it a little difficult for them to keep their job, at which point they'll probably have to be replaced, and you've now wasted a perfectly good soul.
Yeah, because then the new person may have the same problems. All right, so
Exactly.
maybe they can. Oh, see, this is tough because you don't want them to be able to communicate with you. Like that's the end goal. But I guess them, having the capability to understand speech is important. Yeah, so leave them the ability to understand speech, but leave them unable to express that in human language. Okay.
I think this is a Harlan Ellison short story
Okay.
that we're talking about at this point.
I'm not getting that reference, Frank. I'm sorry.
Oh, for I have no mouth yet I must scream.
Ah, yes. And it's silly because I actually saw something about that, like, literally today. And, see, like, literally, no, I'm not even shitting you. Like, I literally saw a reference to that today in some YouTube list. See, that's the thing. When I'm watching YouTube, like, it doesn't matter how educational the shit that I'm watching is. Like, it just goes in one ear and out the other. Like, in that 10-minute video, I feel learned, but as soon as I flip to the next one, I mean, it's probably about fart jokes, so it just pushes all that stuff that I learned completely out.
My God, I'm so smart. Oh, look at this kitty. It's got short legs.
I mean, that's just a play-by-play of my internet browsing throughout the day.
I know. I've been outside the window this whole time.
So I think we should, his deal should include the stipulation that the guy can only communicate, can only express things through interpretive
dance. Yes.
Yes. Oh,
We're in tune. We're in tune.
this is beautiful. So I'm trying to think. What form of interpretive dance would be would be less annoying than somebody talking to you all the time? Because, I mean, now what's going to happen is, since he can't talk to you, he will be in your field of vision, dancing with some sort of ribbons or scarves or something, trying to get your attention, which the blinders will help with, granted.
But then, see, dance is the language of love and sensuality, and so it's quite likely that you are just then going to fall madly in love with this coworker.
Oh, are we going to some like Lifetime movie? Not the one where ladies get beat up on, but the other kind.
The other
where
ones.
they fall in love with somebody they shouldn't fall in love with.
Exactly,
Oh.
but then it's for the rest of your life together. As you create a life together, you have a dark secret. You can never tell them that the reason they mysteriously lost their voice was because you sold your soul to the devil on Friday the 13th.
Wow, that puts. Oh, that's a big secret to keep from the one you love, Frank. That's pretty serious. So what we're saying is that when you play with the dark magics to solve some sort of annoying person in the office, you need to be prepared for the consequences. That's all we're
Alternately, a friend of mine just had like a chain that he would string across the entrance to his cube that said "Go away,"
saying. I
and
can
it
dig
honestly
that.
seemed to work well for him.
So with this, like, it seems like this is more of an open office environment, like not necessarily like cubes. Like, I mean, cubicles are the high wall cubicles are just built to separate people in their entirety. Like, I've worked in multiple different office environments, some that had the high wall cubicles, some that had the low wall cubicles. The high wall cubicles, like, it there's something so oppressive about them. And maybe this is just me projecting, but there's something so oppressive about those high wall cubicles that, like, even me being a very kind of interactive person, like, I like to talk to people, I still feel like I would rather sit in my cube than interact with people. Maybe because it's like the effort, the effort that is required, because you have to get up. Like, you can't like just stand up and start talking to people. You have to physically get yourself up and walk around the wall. So that's enough to keep me from doing most things. But but no, with the open environment, like it is built more for people, to communicate and things like that. So in this case, I think we may have a problem. With them being in a collaborative space, how do you both get the collaboration and also not have them not fuck with you when you don't want them to?
I think this is where it might be worthwhile to invest in a bodyguard.
And maybe not just a bodyguard, but like a personal assistant. And whenever, and it doesn't have to be full time. Like you want to be money conscious, so only have them present whenever you really want to, be heads down or just have a moment to yourself. So they definitely be part time. But whenever you're about to put your headphones on, call them in and have them sit next to you, and then anybody who wants to talk to you has to make an appointment.
So here's the thing I'm thinking. Twist. The person you get to do this is the annoying office mate.
Oh, no.
Yes,
no.
You get them in on the action so that they're guarding you against other people trying to come and talk to you. At which point they're not talking to you because they're busy doing a job, and you can get your work done.
So I like the idea of, if you can't beat them, join them. But B, this person probably does already have a job in the office that they are choosing not to do in lieu of talking to the question asker. So I'm not positive it's going to work, but I like the way you think.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, that does keep us from them falling in love. And who are we to come between two people? Want to take an issue from the internet?
Yes, please. All right, so slight warning: this one will get blue, and it's also it's also a little lengthy, but we'll get through it. So this is sent in by Christopher Plumbus. My $700 sex butt was in my car when it was stolen. How do I itemize that on a police report? I received a letter from the court saying that the person who stole my car is being tried.
Wait.
No. No, we can't stop.
Okay, just plow through.
Okay. I received a letter from the court saying that the person who stole my car is being tried, and that if I want restitution, I need to give them a list of the property and how much everything cost individually. I worked at a sex toy store and ended up buying this twerking butt. Partially because it was hilarious, but also I wanted to know what a $700 sex toy was like. Needless to say, I'm embarrassed. Yes, that is needless to say, to put a sex toy in an official statement. I am also not sure how to quantify the sentimental items, which, why wouldn't you say the sex butt was sentimental?
I mean, yeah.
like home movies and photo albums that were in the vehicle. I also don't
twerking sex butts.
Twerking sex butts. I also don't have any receipt or way of proving what was in the vehicle, and I don't want to be accused of perjury. And then there's a small update underneath. The guy from the state attorney's office called to say he needs a list of the items and losses. When I told him I didn't have a receipt for my $700, and then in italics it says personal massager, he told me to send him a link to the product so the judge can see what it would cost to replace it.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, there's the gold. There's the fucking gold.
Man.
Holy
no.
shit. All right, what order do we want to tackle this in?
Oh, my God. I don't know.
All right,
this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Oh, so, okay. First things first. If you have a $700 sex butt, keep it at home. I mean, not because, I mean, the urge to use a sex butt can strike at any point. So I guess you wanted...
Where will you be?
Where Where will you be when the urge to use a sex butt strikes you? But no, I mean, just for something like this, like, I mean, you could be in a wreck and you could damage the sex butt. You could leave it in the car and it's not built for like heat, and you could damage the sex butt. I just don't think it's responsible to keep something that expensive and
it seems
necessary.
like it's very, very irresponsible to keep your sex butt in the car. I mean, here's me, like, I'm one of those people that, to some extent, there's, the old, make sure you wear clean underwear every day. What if you get in an accident?
I that is in my subconscious as well. That was told to me many times as a child.
And like, I know that my luck is such that somehow if I got in a car accident, the cause of death would not be the car accident itself, but would be impact by sex butt.
Just that phrase is, I'm just glad that phrase exists. Killed by impact with sex butt.
And I mean, that's the kind of thing that goes on your permanent record. I think you get to the pearly gates and they're like, you led an exemplary life, but everyone inside has heard. And for your safety, we're going to have to send you to hell.
See, and it wouldn't even be them like judging about the fact that they had a sex butt. It would just be that they were irresponsible with the sex butt and didn't secure it properly in a moving vehicle, which I think is the much bigger crime here.
That's true. I mean, you need to make sure that you get a car seat with a 5-point harness for your sex butt so that it is properly restrained.
I mean, what size do you buy? I guess it's relative to how thick your sex butt is.
With 2 C's.
Yeah, and so since it's a twerking butt, my assumption is that you would need at least, toddler to like 3-year-old car seat in order to contain it.
Yeah, it might be a booster seat situation by then.
So one part of this that kind of strikes me is, so they bought it, because it was a goof. Like that's part of the reason they bought it. I mean, I don't necessarily think that's 100% true. Like,
I was going to say, that's what they're saying.
That's what they're saying to provide some distraction. But like, how much money is too much money for a goof? Like, I mean,
it depends on how committed to the bit you are, Derek. Because
this person seems very committed. I mean, like, they're practically in a relationship with this sex butt. So
yeah,
that's committed.
I admire their commitment to the bit at that point, that they were willing to put $700 on the line.
Do you admire their commitment to the butt?
No. No, Derek.
Look,
here's my thing. I think if you are shameless enough to have purchased the $700 sex butt, you should be shameless enough to claim and itemize the $700 sex butt.
I agree. Well, okay, so also, like, kind of in the similar vein of that, and kind of going back to what we were talking about before, so they did not explain whether the car was the sex butt's home or if they were like just transporting it. Because the thing is, back to your point earlier, it would be my luck that if at any point I purchased something as salacious as a sex butt, even if the adult store was 3 minutes from my home, my only goal is to go in, buy the sex butt, and get it home as fast as possible. I would get in 2 separate fender benders in the 3-minute span from the adult toy store to home, because that's just how it will be. If I order like 4 pizzas and I'm worried about people seeing a fat guy carrying around 4 pizzas and wondering if he's going to eat it all by himself, and they only give me 1 fork, which is
exactly
super embarrassing. But I would be concerned about them seeing me with 4 pizzas, and then I'd probably get stopped or get in a car wreck or something. But no, with this item, you kind of have to drive a little carefully in order to not be apprehended while said. And now especially with like the live PD shit going on, like, can you imagine if like all of a sudden it was like you're on camera, or you get here we go the most embarrassed that you could be about this sex butt is if you buy it and then you don't have a vehicle, you have to take a taxi, and you get in and it's cash cab.
Oh no.
Oh, would that not be great though?
I think that would be a very special episode of Cash Cab.
Yeah. It's like, welcome your own cash cab. What's that you got there? Ooh, I have that model. It's really nice.
So the thing that makes this perfect is the fact that they need to send a link to this product to the judge.
To the judge. Oh my God.
And part of me is like, again, if you've got the fortitude to purchase the $700 sex butt, you should be shameless enough to say, yes, here's a link. It has 16 functions and is also a pressure cooker. Is this not a marvel of modern science, Your Honor? It's just my worry at that point is that the judge is going to do the thing that his name is and judge you.
Right. But like you said, if you are as confident standing in your truth as would be required to purchase said sex butt, you should be, and carry it around in your car, you should be comfortable with anybody under the sun knowing and reviewing, possibly leaving comments on a link for the sex butt. I can just see this, like, the judge wakes up in the morning and, he's handling, some theft cases, some, maybe some assault cases, drunken disorderly conduct. He's going through his case file and he's like, people are terrible. This is awful. And then he gets to the stolen vehicles and he sees on the list, oh, there's a $700 personal massager. This is interesting. This is something that old Judge Flannery has not encountered today. And so
he clicks on the link.
He clicks on the link, and also maybe he like finds something else about himself, that he is all about $700 twerking sex butts. But you have just given him a very unique experience on several levels. But that is something that he will remember. Like that, you have given him a story to tell to all of his judge buddies. They're sitting around drinking scotch, smoking cigars, and it's like, Ray, let me tell you about this case I got the other day. This is really a gift that keeps on giving.
This is a gift to the world.
I didn't look too far down in the comments to see if he had actually like linked the sex butt. Because
I don't think you need to corrupt your cookies in this way. Like once you've clicked that link, Derek, there's no going back. You will see targeted ads, and they will be very specific, and Jessica will have questions.
Yeah, that is not a link that I want to be purple, to be honest. But you're right. I would definitely be afraid because with all the ad targeting and stuff like that, like it will follow you everywhere. Like if you go and you search for something on Amazon, like you go a few states over, go use a bathroom in a gas station, and the toilet paper is going to basically have like whatever you were searching on Amazon, it's going to be an ad directly on the toilet paper. Like it is ridiculous how permeated this stuff is. So yeah, if I would be a little bit worried that if I did happen to click the sex button on my on my home computer, that I would be like in a work meeting and have to pull up Chrome for something, and the sidebar ad would be for twerking sex butts.
So I'm giving us some thought, and I think this is a brilliant way to pump up your recompense, because no one in their right mind is going to claim an erroneous sex butt. Like, it's just not going to come to anybody's mind to be like, yes, I don't have the receipt, but included among my personal possessions that were stolen in theft was my $700 twerking sex butt. And so even if you don't own it, if you are willing to claim it, that's $700 free dollars.
We did not realize the gold mine that claiming such salacious materials were, because yeah, if like you have God forbid you have a house fire or something like that, if you feel proud enough, or if you feel emotionally sturdy enough to do so, just go ahead and claim a sex butt, because I think you're exactly right. I think that when that insurance claims adjuster reads the list of items, they'll be like, I need to check on that laptop, need to check on that iPad, need to check on that big screen TV. Well, I think we're good on the sex butt.
Yep.
I think we'll go ahead and cross that one off the list. We know they owned a sex butt.
100%. That is a thing that we're not going to have to follow up on.
Oh my God. Okay, so Frank, truth time. If you were to not saying whether or not you are someone who would purchase a sex butt, but if you were to come into possession of a sex butt and your car was stolen, would you claim it?
Would I claim it? Well, here's the question is, have I purchased the $700 sex butt?
Does it matter?
Because, well, again, as I said, if I'm the kind of person who has purchased it, then I'm also the kind of person who's going to claim that shit in public. I will show up to the deposition of this guy and be like, yes, Your Honor, there he is, the man who absconded with my sex butt.
I've prepared a PowerPoint presentation to tell you how much the sex butt meant to me.
On the other hand, if someone were like, here, have this, and it happened to be in my trunk, at that point, I would be like, you know what? That's great. Someone has managed to get rid of that sex butt for me.
They have manually regifted the sex butt.
Exactly. I was going to have to regift that one again anyway.
Oh my God. Oh, that would be a good setup for a Dirty Santa at some point during your work career. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, you know what? The $700 is $700, Frank. If somebody gave me an expensive adult toy and it was stolen from my vehicle, I would probably claim it. Because like I said, $700 is $700. So,
all right, Derek, want to call it?
Let's call it. If you have any questions you'd like for us to answer on air, send them to questions@wlicast.com. You can also visit us on Facebook at facebook.com/WLIcast or on Twitter at WLImbalance and use the hashtag WLIcast.
This has been the Work-Life Imbalance Podcast. I'm Frank Eastman.
I'm Derek Lewis.
And with that, I think we're going to have to transfer you.